Hey guys, it's Sandra here from Carcraft Auto Detailing in Melbourne. As per suggestion, I thought I might take some advice and try this video as a two-part episode, this being part 1. Maybe you guys could let me know if you prefer it this way or just the one longer video, or if you're not really fussed either way. But anyway, in today's video I'll be looking at car paint sealants, discussing their benefits, various uses and how they differ from other paint protection products, as well as having a look at many of my favourite personal sealants and reviewing their performance in relation to their finish, durability, ease of application and cost and value. So just to avoid any confusion, a car paint sealant is much like your car wax. It's used to protect the paint and improve its overall finish. The real difference between the two, at least traditionally, was that waxes contain natural ingredients, such as bees and carnauba waxes and oil extracts, whereas sealants were made up of predominantly synthetic ingredients and tended to last a little longer. In today's marketplace, sealants are the middle ground of paint protection, sitting above your traditional car waxes but a step below compared to the more recent nano coatings. On average, a typical car wax will usually last anywhere from a few weeks to a couple of months, whereas a nano or ceramic coating has a lifespan close to a couple of years. Sealants tend to fill that gap with an average durability starting from a couple of months and upwards to 6 or plus months longevity. And when also looking at the protection they provide during that period in relation to fighting off environmental contaminants, they are again the middle child, being a step up from waxes but not quite to the standard of a coating. Appearance-wise, it can really be more of a personal choice. But overall, sealants tend to be quite slick and wet looking, with great amounts of gloss and reflection. But in comparison to the better waxes out there, they usually don't produce the same amount of depth and refraction in their finish, which is where waxes really excel. To put it a different way, sealants are better at bouncing the light off the paint, whereas waxes allow you to look deeper into the paint's finish. And coatings, depending on their particular application and layering, can potentially offer the best of both worlds. I also want to stress that these are just generalizations, as there are certain waxes out there that can outlast many sealants, as well as match them in the protection they provide and the slick finish they produce. And the same goes for certain sealants that just don't last very long or finish to that high gloss that you'd expect. Just like waxes and coatings, sealants have themselves evolved quite drastically in the last few years, becoming the most diverse of all paint protection products, as we are now seeing quite a shift to water-based and dilutable sealants that have little to no curing times, unlike the older ones that were far closer linked to waxes in their applications and their need to dry and haze before removing. Most new school sealants don't haze, nor do they require to sit on the paint for any period before being wiped off. And many now don't even need to be wiped off, with a strong trend developing in the spray-on and hose-off products. In the past, sealants were for the most part a real pain to remove, and waxes of recent years have been so much easier to work with. But that is really changing rapidly, and my guess is that we will see that change in coatings very soon, where their more fussy application will become far easier. In more recent years, I've personally progressed to using sealants far more than waxes I once used more frequently. Apart from the more apparent benefits, such as durability and their increasing user-friendliness, one big reason that really made a large impact with me was the adaptability that this newer breed of sealants provides, in that they can be used on just about any car surface, unlike many waxes and other sealants that would stain trims or make their greasy consistency unsuitable for glass, metal and certain plastics. But having said that, there are certain waxes out there that won't stain your trims and work great for most car surfaces. As I've discussed in a previous video, both waxes and sealants have become quite intermixed, as certain waxes now are far more closely linked to sealants in their many characteristics and more synthetic ingredients. which poses the question of what really defines these products as a wax or sealant. But rather than concentrating on what it's labelled as, or asking yourself whether you need a wax or sealant, it's best just to judge these products for their performance and value rather than the category they fall into. So let's start to have a look at some of these products, starting with a sealant that is close to my heart and perhaps the first one I really fell in love with, which is Wolfgang's Deep Gloss Paint Sealant. The first thing that really blew me away about this product was its amazing finish that, more than a decade on, is still up there with the best, creating one of the glossiest, most reflective finishes, full stop. And what kept me buying this sealant for so many years was its fantastic durability that, at the time, I had never experienced before. Although many products would and do state 6 months durability plus, this was one product that could actually deliver and live up to that. Although its application isn't anything too horrible, it is one of the tougher sealants to remove. And past experiences with this product have proven to me that allowing it to haze and bond for a longer period will increase its longevity. It's also not a great product for direct sunlight or hot paint, as this will greatly increase the amount of work required to remove it. But that can be said for most products here. And unlike most newer sealants, it's not great for most trims. And using it on glass will take quite a bit of work to buff it off cleanly and smudge free. But if you use it for what it was really designed for, which is to protect and beautify the paint, you will struggle to find a sealant that can do both of those things better than Wolfgang's Deep Gloss. At about $70 for 500ml, it comes in as the second most expensive product here. But sometimes high prices can be justified if the product truly delivers, and in my opinion, this one does. A product I tried quite a few years after Deep Gloss was Manzana's Power Lock. In my eyes, this is still perhaps the closest or most similar product to the Wolfgang that I've ever tried, though there are some differences between the two. Deep Gloss in my eyes still has the slightly better finish, but the Manzana is ever so close and has a brilliant finish in its own right. Where Power Lock is a little better is in its ease of application that requires less effort to remove, as well as being a little more sun friendly and less fussy on hotter days. In my experience, the durability of these two products are equally matched. But if I had to pick a winner between them, I think Deep Gloss would ever so slightly take the win. What I also like about Power Lock is how it works in harmony with Manzana's compounds and polish range, and the simplicity but yet effectiveness of using and following steps 1 to 4 of their paint correction and protection regimen. This is, however, another product that isn't really adaptable to be used on all car trims due to its residue, but is a little easier to finish down cleanly on glass. At about $80 when bought in 1 litre quantities, the biggest difference between these two sealants is perhaps the price, with the Manzana being almost half the cost and providing far greater value. Primo Hydro Seal is perhaps the first of the newer breed sealants I ever tried. What really separates these sealants from the more traditional ones is their consistency and lack of residue. That really works in harmony with just about any car surface, from paint to rubbers, plastic, glass and metal. The other main difference with this and many other more modern sealants is its water-friendly behaviour. That not only tolerates it without causing issues that you may run into with other sealants, but allows you to use water in conjunction with its application. And this is definitely one product that you want to use with water in order to aid both its application and its removal, as trying to work Primo Hydro with dry applicators and microfiber cloths will most certainly result in a streaky, uneven finish. But that's not really a negative, it just means that you need to adapt your method of application to include a damp cloth or give the panel a quick mist of water as you go. This is yet again a very long-lasting sealant that has proven to me that it can last as long as the top performers here. But I will say that it is a little less effective in the protection that it provides. That is perhaps a result of its less silky smooth finish that seems to allow contaminants to bond a touch more so than the other products here. Although it has a nice finish, it is not a class leader in that respect. And even more so than the Wolfgang, this is not a product you want to be using in direct sunlight or on hot car panels. One area that this sealant wins hands down is in its fantastic unique smell that just makes you want to keep using this product for as long as you can. At about $65 for just under a litre, it's one of the cheaper products here and provides excellent value. Next up is Optimum's Seal. I know I'm repeating myself, but what can I say other than this is yet another very durable sealant, as well as one that can be used to protect pretty much all of your car surfaces, with great ease of application that perhaps places it as one of the easiest sealants to apply. Though its wipe and walk away direction of use is a little optimistic in my experience, with the product requiring a final buff to finish down evenly. The only real trouble you're going to encounter with Seal is if you're using too much, which can cause some streaking in its finish. But a damp cloth or a light mist of water will aid in correcting this mistake. So using this sealant sparingly will not only produce far better results and an easier user experience, but it'll also help in justifying its over $40 price tag for this small 236ml bottle, which places it as the most expensive product here. Apart from price, the only real issue I have with this sealant is its finish, which just isn't a leader in that respect, unable to achieve the high slick gloss level of the better products here. And much like Primo Hydro, its finish isn't the smoothest to the touch, allowing contaminants to bond more easily than most other sealants here. As I've mentioned in a previous video, CarPro's Reload has been my go-to sealant in recent years. Much like the Wolfgangs Deep Gloss, what initially drew me in was its fantastic level of gloss that in my opinion is even better than the Wolfgang, and about as good as any product I've tried to date. The other area that it really excels in is its smooth to the touch finish that is class leading and really helps it in its ability to repel contaminants, which in turn makes it another class leader in the protection that it provides. Its durability is on par with the leading sealants here, on average giving a good 4 to 6 months longevity and sometimes beyond. I wouldn't say its ease of use is the best here, nor is its sun-friendly application. It's more or less mid-range in those areas. But much like many products here, the use of water can help aid its application and resolve any issues of streaking without overly compromising its durability. The other advantage of Reload is its 1-to-1 water dilution that, although will reduce its durability, it'll also greatly aid in easing its application, as well as providing greater value. Just like a couple of other sealants here, Reload can be used as a drying aid that will let you seal and safely dry the car in one step. And although this method of application does dilute any sealant's durability quite a lot, if used constantly, it's a great and effective method to ensure the car is both quickly and effectively protected. At about $60 for a litre, it is also one of the cheapest and best value sealants on the market, and its 5 litre bulk buy availability takes the value to an even better position. So this was the last product for part 1 of this video. Stay tuned for part 2, which will be on its way very soon. As always, thanks for watching guys. Please like, comment and subscribe to show your support, and I'll see you in part 2 of this video very soon.